Hi, everyone. I'm Sarah Delaney. I'm the founder of SARILLA, which is a non-alcoholic sparkling beverage made with real Rwandan tea leaves and botanicals that we either grow ourselves on our farm in Rwanda or we source directly from farmer cooperatives in other parts of the world. I'm here in Asheville, North Carolina in my home office, and I'm finally going to get started on our YouTube channel. I've been waiting to do this for, I don't know how long. It's just, time takes time and enough procrastination. I'm so excited to share tips and tricks that I've learned as I'm building this consumer packaged goods brand, as I'm getting to understand grocery and beverage and e-commerce and even food service, all the channels that we're trying to build in, that we are building in, we're growing in. I really think that my experience could possibly help you as you're building your business, but I also, I don't think that we can create a playbook for someone else. I think it's really important that we create our own playbook, but there's great resources out there. There's experts we can turn to. And I'm going to bring some of those experts in, at least the folks that I partner with to build SARILLA. And I've been doing this for over 4 years now. So a few people, just to give you a heads up on what's coming. I'm going to bring someone in who works with me on freight and logistics. And she actually just traveled with me to Rwanda. I just got back a couple of days ago. I was there for 2 weeks, and I think that was probably my 11th trip since I lived there in 2009. It was so good to be back. We'll have lots of stories that come from Rwanda and our time working with farmers and producers there. And we also have an annual crop to cup trip. So if anyone's interested in joining us on the next trip, I'll actually be announcing that in the next few weeks. It will be another trip in 2023. So she'll be joining and kind of unpacking, the importance of understanding freight and logistics. It really can be complicated. It really can be expensive. And so that'll actually be really fun. And I'm going to be bringing someone on who has a background in bars and bartending, and we're going to talk a little bit about like the changing dynamic and landscape in that world, and how we can position our products there, or maybe how we can't. Not every channel is going to be a winner. And part of the fun of building a brand is figuring out like product market fit, figuring out who are your people who are going to be those early adopters, and where do they go? Is it going to be, what am I trying to say? Like, just because someone is fired up about your product, it doesn't mean they're going to buy it when they're hanging out with their friends at night in a bar. Just as an example, we'll be talking with some branding and marketing folks, of course, some chefs, people in the restaurant industry, also students. We have a student advisory council, and we'll have some of our students on to talk about their experience with SARILLA, but also just in general, like what are they looking for? What's their campus life like? What's trending? And what are the attributes that they get excited about? I also am really looking forward to talking about social media and some folks that, have found ways to navigate working in social media without letting it affect their mental health. Because we have seen some people come and go and actually decide to leave the industry entirely because it just takes a toll. It takes a toll. And I'm not personally sure what that is. I do some of our social media. I prefer not to, but I know it's important that I'm out there telling this story as well. It just can take a lot of time, and it's kind of a rabbit hole to open up. So I think we all could probably use more tips and tricks on how to, stay involved in social media and not let it get to us internally and on a personal level. And then there's someone that I work with from the FDA, and she helps me with labeling. And I think that's really important. You know, I'm trying to bring people in who I have really learned a lot from and benefited from without forking over a ton of money, because, okay, there's an expert out there for everything right now. And a lot of them charge like very high hourly fees. And I'm totally respect that. You know, you can charge whatever you want, but for emerging brands and startups, especially if you're bootstrapping, that can really, really add up. So, you know, there are some like really generous people out there who have helped a lot, and maybe it's part of their job, especially if it's a government entity or a nonprofit, or universities can be really, really helpful with certain resources. I'm in the state of North Carolina, so we have access to some great resources through like NC State, things like that. Also bring a couple brokers on and distributors. Of course, we always like to hear from them. And the people that I work with are very honest and outspoken. They understand the kind of pros and cons to working with distributors and also brokers, you know, because I've worked with some that it hasn't been so successful. And right now I'm working with some that really, really happy that I kind of found my rhythm with like attracting the business partners and people that I get excited to have meetings with. Like when I see, you know, their call come through, I look forward to picking it up. There's nothing worse than like working with someone or paying someone that you don't even want to talk to, or you wouldn't even want to have coffee with. I think it's really important, you know, that we do business with people we like and we enjoy and we respect, and we feel like they have our best interests at heart. And sure, like money is a driver for all of us, and that's a given. But for me, it has to be something a little deeper as well. So because we're a mission-driven company, we're a product with purpose, like I need to work with people who get it, like they get the value proposition with SARILLA. If they're representing our brand. I don't expect like all of our distributors to necessarily get that, but it is like definitely a bonus when they do. And then we are working with a fractional CFO now. So they've been really helpful in kind of cleaning up our bookkeeping methods and making sure that we're set up to scale, and that we are looking at the right chart of accounts, that we're setting them up correctly, number one, but also that we're like really, really honing in on those numbers that are most important as we move and grow this year. So I'll be hopefully bringing them on, and I haven't asked any of these people yet, but I just have a feeling that they'll be excited to share with you. So no promises. I think it's going to be a really, really fun year ahead. And I know, you know, most of the things I just mentioned were very like business and product specific, but if you know me at all, or if you follow me on LinkedIn, or if you've, you know, seen my posts or my TED Talk, I'm sure will assume that I'm going to bring in a lot about mindset, mental health, you know, mind, body, soul connection, because that is part of like who I am and part of like why I'm doing what I'm doing. Because SARILLA, as much as it's a beverage, it's a sparkling tea, that is what it is. I didn't create this because I think we need another product in stores. Yes, I saw a void in a white space that I wanted to fill, and it was definitely a great market opportunity. But it's to do something bigger. And so I'm excited to bring in, you know, how I am building our communication strategy to really reflect our company values, our culture, and to really encourage everyone to be themselves, you know, to be uniquely you. I think there's a lot of pressure in the world today to be someone else, to, you know, always be growing, always be changing, always be reaching higher and higher and higher, and like never good enough. And, you know, you turn the corner and maybe you reach a goal, maybe you reach a milestone or a big achievement, and you don't even see it, like, because it's like on to the next, on to the next. And I noticed that the other day, there was a personal kind of milestone that I had in my family, and it doesn't happen overnight. So like, it hit me one day. I was like, oh, we're there. And it was just a funny moment because I had almost forgotten about, that vision that my husband and I had a couple of years ago, and now we're there. But we're both like entrepreneurs and ambitious and go, and could have just missed that. So I do think it's really important to take time out each day to celebrate the wins. Or you know what, it doesn't even have to be a win, just celebrate the day, like celebrate being here and, being alive and having the choice. That's the big one, is like having the choices, because being human means that we have choices. No matter what circumstances we were born into, or what we've experienced, or how much money we have, or what gender we are, or any of those things, like we all have choices. And I think the biggest choice that we have at any given moment is, what is our attitude? What is my attitude going to be in this moment? How am I going to respond to external life circumstances that maybe are out of my control? What can I control? I love the serenity prayer. God grant me the serenity to accept the things I can't control, and to recognize what is in my control. So something like that. So yeah, you know me, I'm in recovery too. So 16 and a half years sober, no alcohol, no drugs, and lots of fun still. I really didn't think that would be possible when I quit drinking in my 20s. I thought my social life would be over, and I was terrified. But I did it. And on the other side of that fear was a really awesome life. So I'll probably be weaving that into, our conversations, and I'll try to keep them short. So that's all for me now. And welcome to my YouTube channel, and welcome to the SARILLA community. I'll be talking with you soon.